You're listening to Full of Sense. I'm Ricky Mulvey. Alongside me through the airwaves, as always, it's the cowboy, David English. We got a show today, including a really good interview after we get through a few topics with a guy named Bitboy Ben Armstrong. I'm excited for that. But first, we got a few things going on. General Electric, S&P 500 stocks continue to plummet. And then we have what I thought was a really good feature in Bloomberg about the student debt crisis and why you can't just point at tuition, the other things you have to look at. Davido.
Yeah. All right. Hey, but
All right.
Ricky.
Yes.
The stock S&P 500 was up today. So that
but
was
like compared to yesterday too,
Yeah.
it's still getting kind of crushed.
Yeah, it's not been a good week. A lot going on. I mean, inverted yield curve causes a huge
Let's do General Electric before inverted yield curve.
Are we? Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. So General Electric, that was one that got hammered today. What happened? The guy who basically blew the whistle on Bernie Madoff, a guy named Harry Markopolos, came out with this big report saying that General Electric is a bigger fraud than Enron. This 175-page report essentially claimed that they had more money to pay out in a long-term care insurance division than they currently have assets for. There's a lot of moving pieces to this story. Number one, why
our favorite Larry Culp bought nearly $2 million worth of stock after the fraud accusation.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
I kind of like that move from
moments ago. This is about an hour ago.
I like that move from a CEO saying, "Hey, if you're going to try to drive my stock price down, cool, it's at a discount."
Yeah.
And General Electric came out and said, "Hey, you're calling us fraudulent, but you never actually contacted us. This is all outside speculation." But first, I want to get into the weeds of like why make this press release? What is a short sale? Why would you just heap on all of this negativity and call General Electric a giant fraud? So to start off, a short sale is essentially betting on a stock to go down. It's inherently riskier than buying a stock because, a stock, if you buy it, has limited downside. If you short a stock, it has unlimited downside because stocks can, in theory, go up exponentially. The problem also with that is stocks in general tend to rise throughout the years. So you're kind of fighting against a different type of current. So what a lot of short sellers do, you've seen a guy, I think it's Andrew Citron Research, go on CNBC before. When they say, I'm going to short a company, a lot of these whistleblowers will go and make a big press release out of it because they want to heap on doubt and get people to pull their shares out of the company so the stock falls and they immediately benefit.
Yeah, and it's insane. I mean, he says that the guy that is doing all of this, behind the scenes investigation, he says, my team has spent the past 7 months analyzing GE's accounting, and we believe that $38 billion in fraud we've come across is just the tip of the iceberg.
Woo!
That's a lot of money, dude.
That's a lot of money. And it has to do with the part of General Electric that people are wary about anyway, which is long-term care insurance.
Oh, yeah. And we've talked about it before on the show that was when they were trying to get into everything. GE Capital, they tried to just, branch off to be the expert in all things, and that's not a good idea. And then that would be funny that if they're finding fraud in that department.
Well, so they've already written down their long-term care insurance by like $28 billion. They've already taken a big hit from it. So what happened here is long-term care insurance is basically this idea of I'm going to pay into an insurance system, and if I have to go into a nursing home or assisted living, then that money pays out. However, lifespans were shorter in the 80s and 90s, and they didn't take into account longer life expectancies and more people going into these long-term care facilities. And so a ton of these long-term care insurance companies went bust. And now this guy's claim is essentially saying, there's a storm on the horizon, which could maybe be A, General Electric not paying out their insurance policies, and B, they have a ton of liabilities on their hands if they do pay out those policies.
Yeah, I wonder if they wrote all these policies without any actuaries and just said, let's wing it. This might be a good way to make some money. And then, you issue all these policies. Well, really, the clients got the better end of the deal that one.
I'm sure they had some. I'm sure they had actuaries look at it, but there's also been some. There's been some news. I guess this uprising in general.
Maybe actuaries that no longer work at the company.
Well, against Jack Welch too, and doing some creative financial tricks allegedly. All right, you want to talk S&P 500?
Let's
big
do
time.
It.
What's it mean? I'm getting podcasts now. It's like the Daily Today Explained. Everyone's saying, is a recession on the horizon? Davido, are we due? Should I pull everything and run for the hills?
Well, I think people need to realize that this is just one indicator. I mean, the inverted yield curve, yes. Can it lead to a recession? Absolutely. Yes.
What's an inverted yield curve mean?
that's when what was it? The 3-month yield inverted a while ago. So we talked about that before. Now this is the 2-year is paying more in interest rate as an interest rate than your 10-year bond. So
which is for a
you
lot
can
of
make more money in 2 years by putting your money there than 10 years. And
and the reason why that happens is because bond traders are saying we're more pessimistic about the short term than the long term. And
yeah,
so
right.
when this happens, in general, there's been a recession that comes about, I think it's 24 to 36-ish months. Like it's not an immediate
It's
thing
about
that
14 to 18,
oh,
but
14 to 18. Okay.
yeah, it's an average, and some of the best months leading up to the recession can be some of your best return years, is what you've seen in history. So, even if it is on the horizon, yes, we stay invested, ride the storm, and we'll come out on top. In 14 to 18 months.
I liked this thing that you put in. The S&P 500 has weathered such inverted moves before. According to Dow Jones, that index has gained an average of about 2.5% in the 3 months after. The thing that might be different this time, and I know I'm saying this time is different, is one of the ideas of a recession is that if everyone believes you're in a recession, then you're in a recession.
Right.
But
Yeah.
when you look at a lot of data, I think they had consumer spending come out, which is how much money Americans are spending on like restaurants and clothing, and I
Retail
think
sales?
retail sales.
Yeah.
And what they found is people are spending like they're not in a recession.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was positive. It was an
Yeah.
increase from last month. So yeah, who knows? Maybe we're in a little bit of a slowdown right now. The market's not been good the past week. What's to say maybe we're in one right now? Who knows? I mean,
Well, and I think everyone got more sensitive. Everyone has the scars from 2008, and people have gotten more sensitive just because you had, a bear market, or not close to a bear market at the end of 2018, and people are waiting for the bomb to drop, whether it's a recession, trade war, global growth, something going horrifically wrong with Brexit. It's just this like general anxiety that seems to be gripping the stock market right
yeah,
now.
and I think a lot of people just want to be in the know. I mean, what's
Yeah.
going on? Oh, an
But
inverted yield curve. What's that mean for me? It
and
does mean cheaper loans from the bank. It
yeah,
might be a good time to refinance your mortgage. You're seeing
there you go.
loans that are interest rates at an all-time low, but you know there's other things that it can cause to the market. But I think
Other
at the end of
things.
the day, it could be just the Trump effect of if he stays out of the tariffs and trade war with China,
Yeah.
may not be in the situation we're in today. But
So I think the punchline is that like this yield curve, it's a very important indicator, but it's not the only thing to look at, and it's not a magic
absolutely.
number that means you're due for a recession in X number of months, because that's been the average in the past. All
Right
right.
on.
All right, you ready to keep moving? Okay, so Bloomberg, this writer, her name's I think it's a female. Ali Breland wrote this incredible expose about the reason student debt has been rising so much, and a lot of people point to the rising cost of tuition. That's one of the things that you keep hearing within the political noise right now of we're gonna make college free. But what she talked about is, while yes, the cost of tuition at public colleges has like tripled in the past, I think 20 years to about $10,000. The big expense, or one of them, is the cost of housing. And you have a lot of these colleges now who used to see developers as competition because they want to keep kids on campus. They now see them as an ally, because out of state students who have traditional, or usually a lot more money than in-state students, are able to afford those luxury housing apartment complexes that spring up close to campus.
Yeah, and
And
I think housing's definitely on the rise faster than probably tuition. I mean, that's
yeah,
what you said here, but I mean, just at UK, I'll make a reference to the University of Kentucky, but they demolished all the buildings that like me and my friends lived in, and they're all brand new
yeah,
skyscrapers. Like, who do you think they're passing that bill on to? The students.
exactly.
And they threw in my sister a free iPad, which is quote unquote free, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they probably doubled the tuition cost and the living on campus cost. But yeah, they get a free iPad at least.
And they did the same thing at Ohio State with the quote unquote free iPad. And one of the things I found though is like I was in college the year before they started that, and I didn't have people in my classes using an iPad. Like it wasn't something that students were begging for. It
Right.
was just
I think
just
they are trying to go with what books
yeah.
all online now. So
Yeah.
I mean
So
that
this
does
this
at least save the kids some money. You don't have
little
to
bit of money.
buy those wasteful books and then resell them. What a terrible market anyway.
Well, no, the book thing, I'll tell you where they screw you on the book thing is the access codes. So a lot of publishing companies have said, okay, we're going to make it so you can't resell the book. We're going to have this companion like work that you do online. And for that, you have a one-time use access code. That way you can't even resell the book to the next student and then they can use it. That's the thing that drives me insane.
Thanks.
At Ohio State, there were a lot
This
of
must be something
professors.
new. That must be
Yeah.
something new for me because I was able to like get $100 back.
Yeah,
For all my books.
Time has continued to move, my man. So this writer, Ali Breland, she looked at the University of Texas in Austin, specifically Austin, which has a very more people moving in, and clearly there's going to be higher rents. She found that within, I think it was about a decade, that this demand for housing contributed to a 72% surge in average rents. West Campus, which is an area close to the UT Austin, outpaced the city, rising more than 87%. And what ended up happening is, so you have these lower income students who have to live farther off campus, and then they're therefore less likely to be involved on campus, less likely to make connections within, professional societies, different clubs, because, it's going to take me an hour to get home if I have to take a bus. Yeah. And I probably have to do it. I'm probably working on the side as well. So, Davido, the question.
I'm here.
Okay. The question now. I was worried you left me. No. Why are so many of these luxury buildings popping up? Because REITs, these real estate investment trusts, have realized that this is a great return on investment. People are going to spend as much money on getting their kids nice housing as they can possibly afford. And so they started buying up more and more of these properties, and that trend is not stopping anytime soon. And they started having a better relationship with the universities, right? Because they're going to say, hey, we're going to work with you in however we can to help you out and increase student housing however you want. And a university benefits when you have wealthier students on campus. They're willing to spend more, right?
And for folks that don't know what a real estate investment trust, it's basically just buying a share of the building, and then they will pay you it's very similar to a bond.
Yep.
You pay, give them $100,000 that are going to guarantee you a rate of return, but they can be for taken back. So
there was one student who goes to UT Austin quoted in the Bloomberg thing. Actually, thank you for doing the explanation. I should have done that. She said, and I quote, "I had been in several clubs, including the Pre-Physician Assistant Society, but I had to drop that after I started working to be able to afford to live near campus. I feel like it's hurt me professionally. It's affected my ability to volunteer, be involved, and make a more competitive application for grad school," end quote. And it's something that I think some universities do a great job with financial aid. I'm kind of ambivalent about Ohio State, but one of the things they did with student housing at Ohio State is they started making students live on campus for 2 consecutive years. And that actually made a lot of, let's say, less students who are less wealthy, students who are poorer, having to spend significantly more money because on-campus housing is expensive and you have to go out and buy a meal plan instead of getting groceries and cooking for yourself.
Oh, yeah, and those meal plans are outrageous. I mean, I loved the meal plan. You get 2 or 3 meals a day. Pretty good food, but it's great, it's all built in there. It's just it is so expensive. I mean, it's a really good story.
It's the same price of it's essentially or almost the same price as going to a Chipotle, at least at Ohio State. We found one of the things I found when I worked out I used to write a column at the Ohio State student newspaper, and we wrote about the on-campus living requirement, and we found that living off campus can save a student about $1,200 a year, and that's just on the low end.
Wow.
So you have this weird mix of the rising cost of living on campus, luxury developments popping up on or near campus, which shoves the poorer students to the outskirts.
Yeah, and I mean these rooms are nice. I mean, I remember my sister. She told me, she said,
still have roommates.
Yeah, they have roommates, quote unquote. They share a bathroom. That is a roommate. That's how my sister's is they don't even stay in the same room. They have their own rooms, but they share a bathroom.
Ooh.
It's that's insane. I mean, that's nicer than most apartments I ever lived in at UK. So
okay, let's do a last final headline before we do our before the interview. This is a story you put in. I thought it was really interesting. It was, "Are you ready for facial recognition at the airport?" Davido.
Yeah, airlines and TSA is starting to scan faces to get people through security faster, as now privacy are starting to warn of unintended consequences. What do you think? I mean, is this too much? Is it?
I'm surprised they don't have my face already. I mean, I have a passport, so that's been scanned. Like they already have me in their database. And it's one of those things too where, like I don't want Facebook to have all of my information, but I'm more okay with an airline, right? There's the risk, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Going down.
I agree with that, and I think you can probably catch things more frequently if you are scanning your face going through the airport. But what's weird for me is someone that's maybe a frequent traveler, and I mean you're updating, like they're saving those pictures, so you're like just updating your face like every time you go. I don't know. It's just
gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, this is just still on the cutting edge too. I think. We're seeing technology evolve, through our eyes daily.
There you go. I think too. So it's like the airline Delta's been testing it. They saw only 2% of people opt out of facial recognition, and one of the criticisms of that though is they're making you go to this system where you have less that invades your privacy rights, arguably. And they're punishing you if you want to get around it because it's going to take longer. You have to go into a special line, that sort of thing. But there's this was the quote in the Wall Street Journal. More cameras mean we are heading into a world where the government or a conglomerate of corporation knows potentially everywhere you've been, who you were with, and what you were doing all of the time. If you're not okay with Delta checking where you are, you got to close out your Instagram and Facebook apps when you're not using it because they're checking your messages while that's running in the background.
That's true. There you
go.
Yeah,
right on your phone.
How many people are actually reading the disclaimer of their, apps that they're downloading? You're exactly right, Ricky.
No one. Nobody. Okay, that's the end of this part of the show. What you're going to hear is a music break, and then my, my interview with Ben Armstrong, aka Bitboy. We had a great conversation talking about everything from cryptocurrency. Essentially China starting their own cryptocurrency, what that means for the world economy. We talked about Libre. We talked a little about Andrew Yang. We talked about his start going from working in a career to now just making content and working for himself full time. I really enjoyed sitting down with him. And cheers. Here it is.
This is a must listen. Check it out.
Here we go. We're here with Ben Armstrong. He is Bitboy Crypto. That's his YouTube channel. You can see his podcast. You can see and listen, I guess, Beards and Bitcoins on YouTube. BitboyCrypto.com is the news website. There we go. We're at Podcast Movement. We're in Orlando. We're down. We're in this like conference area where they're setting up. Because I didn't want to just say, hey, come to my hotel room. That would have been a little too weird.
That would have been awkward.
Yeah.
I did have a woman that wanted to interview me one time and asked me to come do it in her hotel room. I had to turn that down.
Yeah, right.
Because I didn't think when the wife saw that she would have been happy.
It would be. I was thinking more murder trap.
Murder trap. Yeah.
Murder trap.
Well, we're
podcast murder trap.
Yeah, I wouldn't see you trying to hit on me. I didn't see that happening.
No. There's some murderers in this podcast convention. There's got to be with all the true crime fans.
There's got to be.
100%.
Sure.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about, we're gonna go into like more basic cryptocurrency stuff. So we'll get to that later. But there's a story we were talking about before we started recording. Right now, China, you have, as a setup, you have the United States government basically cracking down on cryptocurrency.
Right.
Libre, more specifically. You've heard threats about Bitcoin. I don't think there's anything real there.
Right.
But simultaneously, you now have the People's Bank of China coming out of nowhere, developing their own cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
Why is this something you're worried about?
Well, it's very concerning because, America's a regulation trap.
Yeah.
And we're going to regulate a lot of the blockchain companies and cryptocurrencies that could be made here and could benefit the American government from tax dollars and things like that. The Senate and the Congress, and of course, the SEC, CFTC, they're all trying to regulate cryptocurrency to death. And so what has happened is that Libre is the Facebook coin. If you guys don't, I'm surprised how many people use Facebook in America. Yeah. How many people that are not in the world of cryptocurrency that I say, like, hey, did you not hear that Facebook is having its own cryptocurrency? And they're like, no.
Well, not only that, I think just as a quick background on Libre, Libre is the I would almost call it an internet currency. I wouldn't call it necessarily a cryptocurrency because there's pretty much no anonymity associated with it, right? And it's not just Facebook. It's also you have Uber backing it. Yeah. You have Visa alongside. There's a couple other companies, even some banks. But I mean, what's from my understanding though of the Libre, and we'll get back to the China crypto story in a bit. The Libre though, like there's not a lot different than that than like a Farmville cash, if you will, because it's just cash that can be used within like very certain apps and it's still tracked.
Well, I would disagree with you on
Okay,
that.
go for it.
Libra is going to be a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It is going to be its own blockchain. It's got its own programming language, like smart contract platforms have, and things like that. And it's going to have a wallet, and you're going to be able to use that wallet to possibly hold other cryptocurrencies as well. That's kind of the plan for Calibra. Calibra is the name of the wallet.
That's the larger bank
That's
or
the
wallet? Okay.
That's the wallet. And I think the Calibra Foundation is kind of the group of people, along with Facebook, that are behind it. I think that's what they're calling it. But Calibra is the wallet, and they want to make it where, it doesn't just hold Libra. So the difference between Libra and something like Bitcoin, other than, there are some centralized elements. Now, none of us trust Facebook. We think Facebook's going to botch this up. We think ultimately, regardless of what the Libra white paper says, that this will.
They're not. Well, the Libre white paper.
Centralized.
The Libre white paper, to my understanding, it says it's going to be decentralized,
Right.
and that Facebook's not going to be able to monetize the data in
Yes.
your financial transactions.
Yes, but we don't trust them to do that.
Naturally.
we all think they're going to fail.
Well, also, not only I think because of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, it's not necessarily. You don't just trust Facebook looking at your financial transactions. People don't trust Facebook to not get hacked into.
Yeah.
And then you can have some messes that way. But I mean, I think we're in a world now of basically no privacy. Like Delta announced yesterday that they're going to use facial recognition instead of plane tickets.
They're using it in China, in China they're already using it. In China, they're social shaming people based on facial recognition.
Yeah.
Like if if you've committed a crime and you're in a group of people and you're on a screen, they can do facial recognition and put your crime up on the screen. I've heard of people that have lived there that are doing that. But, Libra's also a stable coin, by the way.
It's backed by a basket of goods, which is like, it would be gold, US dollars, that sort of thing.
It's probably going to be worth approximately $1.
Okay.
Give or take, 50 cents one way or the other, probably on the upper end.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like Bitcoin where everybody's going to get into it and the price is going to skyrocket up. So it's not going to be used kind of as an investment vehicle.
Yeah.
It can be used for liquidity to move out of different cryptocurrencies and things like that. But there's some things that separate it. So Libre coin, the white paper came out, the Senate, Congress, Maxine Waters,
they got mad.
specifically, like she said, we got to come up with a law to prevent not just Facebook, but tech companies from creating their own cryptocurrency, which kind of is like counterintuitive, right? They're tech companies. That's what cryptocurrency is. Tech.
You can't have a lumberjack creating a cryptocurrency necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. In 2017, everybody was creating
Everybody
their
can.
own, so.
Yeah.
But what happened is they had hearings on the Senate and on Congress in consecutive days with David Marcus, who is the head of the Facebook blockchain division, kind of behind LibreCoin. And they basically just destroyed LibreCoin. They said, you know what, this is terrible. What LibreCoin is trying to become in the eyes of the U.S. is not its own cryptocurrency, but its own currency. That it could actually challenge the U.S. dollar. And that's what they're concerned about.
I mean, even if it did, though, that's such a long way off. Just because of the reserve.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it wouldn't be a corporation, though. When I was watching Crypto, I'm going to call you Crypto Boy. That's
Bitboy.
Bitboy. I'm sorry, Bitboy. Because I was watching your YouTube video, and you're like, yes, I am a grown man. I will go by Bitboy.
Yeah. Well, it's because I created a cartoon.
You started
a superhero.
As a background,
cartoon character.
Okay, as a background on as a background on Bitboy, you started off with a cartoon, and you said you had a little bit of trouble gaining traction with that, and then you moved to more news.
Exactly. So I moved to news, and then doing interviews because my channel's called Bitboy Crypto. People started calling me Bitboy. So that's the evolution of how it happened. So it's just one of those silly things, but it works. It's good branding and stuff. So I go with it. But
I want to go back to China real quick.
Yes, let's go
let's go back to China because
it's a long trip.
It's a long trip, but then there's two things I want to talk about. Number one, your concern is essentially the game here is what country or what coin is going to be the first where you can do cross-border transactions.
Yes.
So let's say you're a Canadian, going into the United States. You can't just use your credit card for free. There's a cost associated with it.
2.5% fee.
Yeah.
Foreign fee. That's aside from any.
But that's something the merchant's paying. So if you're a consumer, you might not recognize that.
No, the consumer has to pay that fee. Yeah.
Okay.
What I read, a story I read about this.
Okay.
And if you live in Canada, you may know differently. I don't know about that.
There you go.
But what I read said there's a 2.5 foreign transaction fee
anytime you use a credit. or credit card in a foreign country. And so essentially, if China gets into this game, if they own the cross-border transactions, they would say, hey, we're going to do it for free, but then you have China controlling it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the danger.
Exactly. That's so we're in America, they're worried about Facebook controlling it.
Yeah.
In the greater world, we're more concerned about
China controlling
communist China, and then guess what they're going to do? They're going to try to eat into our economy with that and catch up to America economically. You know, they're as big as China is, and everybody knows. I mean, their economy is only, I think, 2/3 the size of ours.
About that. And so this is what you've called the technological Cold War.
Absolutely.
The new Cold War.
Yeah.
And have you seen, what kind of hackings are you seeing? What kind of threats do you think are going to come from that in this trade war and just poking the bear that we're not necessarily, that the general public's not necessarily seeing right now?
Well, we've already seen this in North Korea and in China. North Korea actually was able to hack $2 billion worth of cryptocurrency from mostly Asian cryptocurrency exchanges, right? And
was this the Mt. Gox thing?
No, Mt. Gox would have been
separate thing.
Yeah, Mt. Gox wasn't necessarily a hack per se. It was just a collapse of the exchange, which I was in crypto back then, so I do remember all that. But with North Korea, what do you think North Korea spent $2 billion in cryptocurrency on?
I would guess some sort of nuclear technology.
Absolutely. Ballistic missiles and WMDs. Their WMD program, that's what they spent $2 billion worth of hacked crypto. Now, it's state-sponsored hacking.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's state-sponsored hacking. It's also going on in China, but it's a little bit different. With North Korea, it was, let's go steal this cryptocurrency from exchanges. With China, their, cyber criminal hacking that they're doing on places, it does include crypto companies, but what they're doing is they're hacking any sector that is kind of in their way for what they call China's 5-year financial plan.
It's whether it's one belt, one road. Just their growth plans in general.
Their growth plans in general. So, healthcare is something that they're trying to get above other countries in. So
they got a long way to go if they want to be better than healthcare in the United States.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, with medical development, especially medical development and technologies here for sure. But, they're going to attack healthcare, hospital, manufacturers of, hospital equipment and things like that. Anything that's in their way, and it's also state sponsored. So the name of the North Korea state sponsored hacking group is called the Lazarus Group.
Okay.
And the China, state sponsored hacking group is called APT 41. I don't know if it's APT 41 or I assume
or
it's
just
apartment 41 maybe.
Do these people leave like digital traces? Like, are they on online forums saying, "Hey, we're with this group," or how do they?
Yeah,
how do they make it a little public?
Well, sometimes they do like to claim that stuff. It's just like with like terrorism. Sometimes the terrorist groups like to come out and say we did it, but not always. But with cryptocurrency, a lot of people have this idea that cryptocurrency is great for doing things like funding weapons, terrorism, drug trafficking, human trafficking. But the truth is that cash is still far better than cryptocurrency because Bitcoin specifically is traceable. A lot of people think it's not traceable, but basically by knowing the public key, which is the address of someone's cryptocurrency wallet or Bitcoin wallet, you can kind of like spider web diagram that out. If you just know one person's, you can kind of trace that and figure out where the money went to. So there are ways that the CIA and FBI, well, really the CIA, has been able to track.
Nothing's anonymous.
Nothing's really now there is. Like Monero is a cryptocurrency that really is anonymous, and the way that it's done is you never actually know in a transaction the real address that it's going to. So there are definitely completely untraceable cryptocurrencies out there, but they're not as liquid as something like Bitcoin or Ethereum or
Litecoin. You
can
just send it on a cash app.
Exactly.
So with Bitcoin, when there was that big 2017 bull market, I saw a study, and I don't have it in my notes right now, but there was a study that essentially said there were like 3 to 5 main whales driving that rally and sort of manipulating it upward.
Yeah.
Is that a big concern for you as someone who owns like crypto in the space and follows it and invests in it, that you don't have, because in some ways you want to have no regulation, but you also it's a space a space that is very prone to, let's say, pump and dump type schemes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, you bring up a good point, which is along with cryptocurrency, a lot of people that are in cryptocurrency definitely consider themselves to be libertarians.
Yeah.
Roger Ver is the founder of Bitcoin Cash.
Okay.
Kind of a hero and a villain in the cryptocurrency community. A lot of people like him because of what he did in the early days of Bitcoin, and a lot of people don't like him because of the Bitcoin Cash fork off of Bitcoin. They call themselves the real Bitcoin, and it's not Bitcoin, but he was a libertarian, and a lot of people in the space are libertarians, and they love that idea of, not necessarily anarchy per se, but like no regulation, everything is free.
Well, also that you can't just go out and because there's a distrust of fiat currency.
Exactly.
So let's say after 2008, you have the Federal Reserve, our nation's central bank, going through with quantitative easing, just pumping money into the economy, and you can't do that with a Bitcoin or in most cases some cryptocurrencies. Yeah, that's a primary argument I've heard.
Yeah. So we talk about decentralization a lot.
Yeah.
We want to decentralize things. We want there to be a redistribution of wealth. We hope there's going to be because we all own cryptocurrency. But, we believe if you're in crypto and you're deep in the space, down the rabbit hole, as we say, we believe that this is going to be the largest redistribution of wealth, not for political ideals, but just because of the way that this market is shaping up, that we're ever going to see in our lifetime.
Well, cryptocurrency is inherently a little political, though. I mean, you have Andrew Yang essentially saying that I'm open to cryptocurrency. Is a way.
I love Andrew Yang as a topic. He's definitely very interesting.
I love Andrew Yang. I think I'm not completely sold on essentially giving people
personally,
$1,000
I would not
paycheck.
vote for him. Right, I'm not for UBI at all. But the interesting thing about Andrew Yang is, I hope that he wins the Democratic nomination because I just love the ideas that he's pushing forward. He probably won't win. I hope he gets as far as possible to be able to bring up these conversations.
Well, he's the new Bernie, essentially.
In some ways, but he's not nearly as progressive with a lot of other things. Because if you listen to his reasoning for UBI, it's not the same Democratic rhetoric that the super progressive side of the party talks about. Where it's just we want everyone to be equal. His idea with the universal basic income is because automation is going to take away jobs over the next 50 years, and we're going to have to find a way for people to stay relevant in this economy. And I actually believe that your listeners may think I'm crazy here, but I think video games are actually going to play a huge role in bringing value to the economy in the next 50 years.
Well, I mean, I know the video game industry, for example. We apologize for noise in the background. That's the multi-level marketing scheme convention. But anyway, okay, so video games are already bigger than essentially, like, I think just regular sports and movies combined.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, I don't think if you look at the numbers behind it, I don't think it is crazy.
Well, if you're looking for a way for people to add value to an economy where jobs have been taken.
Okay.
And you think about the valuable assets within video games, Fortnite, for instance, the costumes the players wear. Like my kid's 7, he plays Fortnite. Yeah. I play sports games. That's my thing that I play and I used to play, but he plays Fortnite. And they love the different costumes.
That's the worst ego drain that one of the worst I've had in my life was the first time I played Fortnite.
Oh, my son crushes me.
And it's just there's just this nimbleness about kids and their ability to talk shit.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I guess I am a pussy. I got killed immediately.
I guess I really am.
Sorry, guys.
I guess I am really old.
Okay.
But I think that when you're looking at those online trinkets, as I'll call them,
gifts, where you're using so as a background, so you're using the currency within the game Fortnite to go buy different costumes or skins, as they call it, or different weapons, that sort of thing.
And you can buy rare ones and then resell them on aftermarkets. Okay. And there's a lot of stuff going on like that. And I think that is going to get absolutely huge as the video game world transforms into, in real life, like that movie Ready Player One. We look at a lot of movies in the past, like think of Demolition Man. Okay. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but
I haven't. It's a sick pinball machine, but
it is a good pinball machine. But the movie itself was probably in the early 90s, and there was a scene in the movie where Sylvester Stallone walks into an apartment that's not his, and there's a girl that pops up on a video message leaving a voicemail with the guy who owned that place he was in, and she didn't have a towel on. She's got out of the shower, and that was kind of like the there's a little nude scene in the movie. But the thing is when you saw that in the early 90s, you said, gosh, we're so far away from having video messaging. Yeah. It was Skype. That's exactly what you were looking at on that movie. That was Skype. That was Zoom. So movies really predict the future in technology. And I think that movie Ready Player One, whereas I don't believe as much in the dystopian kind of like,
we're all going to live in trailer
exactly.
boxes
I don't believe in that. But
Okay.
the metaverse, where all the video games are connected and people find value and make money living inside that world, I think that is reality.
I think it does. So I read the book Ready Player One. I haven't seen the movie, but I think one of the things that
I heard it ruins it if you read the book. So.
Yeah. One of the things that I guess I would be concerned about, though, is people essentially getting almost too attached to that virtual world.
Oh, I know, it's
once
scary.
you have a literal alternate world that you can, if you say I don't like this world and I can go live in this other world, you could almost have. You ever hear that there's a Japanese phenomenon called hikikomori?
Yeah, I think
where there's basically
I didn't know the name of it, but I think I know
you
where
have
you're
like
going with it.
essentially like 600,000 to 1 million adult male Japanese men, who primarily men, I should say, who live just inside and have just completely shunned society.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big concern.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
I know that your listeners can't see it, but what am I holding up right now?
You're holding up an iPhone.
We're already there.
Okay. Yeah,
We're
that you
already
can
there.
live there. Yeah, I mean,
People
I've had to
live
do
there.
that myself. I
Yeah.
had to go. I downloaded this app called Moment, which I realized like there are days I spend 3 to 4 hours just on my iPhone.
It's part of my job.
Yeah,
as
you
a
need
crypto
it.
influencer.
How'd you get to the point? Is your full time job now just making YouTube videos, podcasts, covering it? How did you get from, I'm guessing, full time job somewhere else to that?
Well, I've always kind of been an entrepreneur and done different stuff online. But I quit my last regular job. I had it for about 2 years. I was the executive director of a nonprofit drug rehabilitation center for teenage boys. So it's when kids get off drugs. But cryptocurrency took over my life is my true passion. I feel like at this point. So, I made the decision last August. I'm coming up right on a year of doing this full time, and I say like it's a big leap of faith to quit a job that has a steady income, but I've never been afraid to jump.
That's awesome.
So I saw the opportunity. I said, you know what? Like, I just can't. I didn't want to go get another job one day. Like, I just wanted to build my own thing. And so, I wasn't in the financial situation where taking a couple months to develop it, it didn't kill me. So I had a little more time. I definitely don't suggest to people, like, if you have a full-time job and if you quit that job, you're not going to be able to pay your bills in 2 weeks.
You have to have an emergency fund.
Yeah, you have to have an emergency
There you
fund,
go.
and you really learn. I think it's kind of like being a farmer. Like a farmer before technology. Like you had to count on the rain.
Yeah.
Right. If the rain didn't come down, you didn't eat, and your crops didn't grow. If you had a deer that came in and ate all your corn, like, you were stuck.
Or you get a drought. Yeah.
A drought. So you have to figure ways out. There's one side of it where you count on, just being provided for by what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's another aspect of it that's like you're constantly having to develop kind of like outs just in case something goes south. So, so I do the podcast, the news website, and the YouTube channel full time, and kind of got on we call it the crypto influencer circuit.
Yeah.
So I go to the conferences and do panels sometimes and things like that, and it's a lot of fun.
I got 2 final questions.
Okay.
First question. When my dad says, what is a Bitcoin? How do you explain, like, to a complete layman, how do you just explain when they say, what is a Bitcoin, and they have an attention for about 3 sentences?
It's digital money.
Digital money. That's it. Because at the end of the day, it's just a string of computer code.
It is. And when you try to explain the computer code, that it gets real complicated. We call it on my channel or on my podcast, we call it the nerd alert.
Okay.
But the one pushback you always get when you say it's digital money is, okay, yeah, but what gives it value? Like, okay, but how is it valuable? And that's when I do the little trick. Well, I say, can you pull out a dollar bill? And they pull out the dollar bill, and I say, okay, if you were an alien and you landed on this planet and you saw a green piece of paper laying on the ground, would you have any idea that had any value?
I wouldn't, but I would still say there's the backing of the United States government. There's more institutionalized.
But it's still, at the
there's
end
more
of the day,
institutionalized support.
It's still
With a fiat currency, it's just a belief system.
It's still
You're saying
100% right.
Okay.
It's a belief system.
And then, so what do you think right now? If you're gonna go out and buy, let's say, if you were to go buy Bitcoin, would you just say go do it on the Cash App?
Yeah.
Or would you say,
I've learned Coinbase is the easiest on ramp.
Okay.
I also have a sponsor of my podcast called Monarch Wallet, which you can download in the App Store. Those are some good, fiat on ramps, as we say. But the easiest way for most people is just this is what I tell people. I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I will tell any waitress at Joe's Crab Shack, just like I did last night when I went and ate a steam pot over there. Hey,
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I had that. It was a
Dude, I
Cajun one, too.
think I gotta get out of this conference building. I might have to do that.
Oh yeah, it was so good.
Okay.
But I told the waitress there, who I always talk crypto with everybody I meet. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a crypto evangelist, is what I like to
Nice.
say. But you know, I told her last night. I said, look, here's what you do. You got cash out? She said, yeah, I got cash out. I said, buy $10 or $20. That's it. Just buy $10 or $20 worth, and watch the price.
Okay.
And watch the price. Check it every week, every day, whatever you feel like. And then what happens is people see the price either start going up or start going down on their little $20 investment. It's not a huge chunk. I mean, to most people, they can live without a $20 bill, okay? And what happens is it starts going up, and then that interest kicks in.
Okay.
And whether it takes, you know, if you're in a bear market, it might take a long time for that interest to kick in if the price is going down. But one day, it'll go back up. And one day, that $20 will double in value.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I believe it will, no question about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely believe that we are heading towards Bitcoin being not necessarily a currency, but gold 2.0. That's what I believe. So
Okay.
yeah. So I believe much more actually in Bitcoin as a, you know, store of value, a hedge against world instability than necessarily.
Then actually, like, I'm going to
Yeah.
pay you in Bitcoin.
I
Okay.
actually think Libre coin could become.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think Libre coin actually, if it is ever able to launch, could actually become that digital currency that everybody uses. But Bitcoin will only go up in value because there's rarity. There's only 21 million of them ever.
Okay.
And so it's an asset. We actually know exactly how many is in circulating supply as opposed to gold. We have an asteroid floating out there that's got enough to give every person in the world $9.5 billion worth of gold.
Ooh,
True story.
I got to get on that asteroid. I don't know if it'll always go up, but you're building my faith in Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
All right, that's Ben Armstrong, Bitboy Crypto on YouTube. You can listen to his podcast, Beards and Bitcoins, wherever you find your podcasts. And a good news site, I'm going to go on it a lot more, bitboycrypto.com does a great job of just breaking down news, not getting way too technical. I was able to understand it. I really enjoy your stuff, Ben. Thanks for being on the show.
Awesome. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Bye.